Hi, my name is Brian Grimkowski, Director, Graduate Programs for the Cotsacos College of Business. In this video, we're going to be discussing prerequisites. So I'm going to jump right into our slide deck. So when you're going through the MBA program, you'll see that many of our courses require 1, 2, and sometimes 3 prerequisite courses. So what that means is that you need to take 1 or more classes, be registered for it or complete it before you can move on and take the course that requires it. And the best way to go and review what a prerequisite requirement is for a given course is to log into WP Connect. And whether you are doing browse for courses or add drop courses, you can usually click on the name of the course. That'll pull up some additional information about the class. One of them is prerequisites. There's a prerequisites tab there that you can click on. And there you can see what courses are prerequisites for that class, as well as what minimum grades need to be earned in those courses to meet the prerequisite requirements. Now, our degree maps account for prerequisites, the sequence in which the courses need to be taken, but for your own reference when you're looking through or if you're selecting an elective course, for example, that'll give you helpful information that'll allow you to plan accordingly. Another thing I'd want you to know is some of the older naming conventions and number conventions do still exist on our system. So for example, Economics 6095, Econ 6095 is one of our 1.5 credit foundation courses. Any student that is taking a class now where that's a prerequisite, that's how it'll be listed. But we do have some students who maybe started their program a couple years ago and may have taken the course when it was Economics 6090 or Econ 6090. So all of our foundation courses now end in 5. Several years ago, they ended in 0. That does not mean you have to take 2 economics courses. It means either or will fulfill the prerequisite requirement. So you might see that and just want to prevent any confusion. First example that many, but not all of our grad students will encounter for prerequisites is that 2 of our foundation courses are required as a prerequisite for another one of our foundation courses. So Accounting 6065 and Econ 6095 are required prerequisites for Fin 6075. So when you're going through and you're registering for courses, you'll see it's fairly common for your advisor to recommend Accounting 6065 and Econ 6095 first, if those are courses that you need to complete as a part of your program. That's to ensure that you're able to register for Fin 6075 without an issue and don't encounter a prerequisite issue further down the line. When a course has 1 or more prerequisites, you have to either complete the course and earn a final grade, in which case the system will recognize it and you won't need any manual intervention on the part of your advisor, or you need to be registered for the prerequisite courses in an earlier session. So you can't, for example, be registered for a prerequisite course and the course that requires it in the same session. So it's important to note that and plan accordingly. You can register for courses in any 7-week session in which the registration is open for that semester. So it's very common for students to register for courses for summer 1, summer 2, fall 1, and fall 2, depending on when a student begins their program and when registration is open. And there's even a short window of time in most academic years when registration is open for fall, summer, and spring at the same time. So it's important to note that you are encouraged to register for courses early. That does ensure that you don't end up in a position where there's a wait list for many of the courses that you're considering. But it is important to note that when you do register several sessions out, it's not uncommon to encounter prerequisite error messages. And that's because you may have registered for some of these prerequisite courses, but you haven't completed them yet and had a final grade post. So what happens is that's where your advisor is an important point of contact for you. When you start registering for classes and you encounter those prerequisite errors, for example, if a course says that you have to have completed Accounting 6065 and in summer session 2, and you've already registered for that class for summer session 1 or have it in progress, just email your advisor and provide as much information to us as you can so that we're able to assist you quickly and easily. So for example, we would benefit from knowing what semester you want to take the course, what session you want to take the course, and if there are a couple different sections being offered in that session, if you have a preference. Sometimes that's because of an instructor. You have a particular instructor that you've had a course with in the past and would like to take a course with them again. And then you'll see when you're browsing for courses, there's also what's called a CRN number, which is a specific number that is unique to each individual class. If that's available, that's the most direct bit of information you can give us. If not, just the semester, the session, and also the section number is enough for us to work with. And then if you have your student ID number, that's helpful as well, so we can look up your information quickly. We would enter that prerequisite override for you, and then once that's in place, you'd be able to register for the course that you were interested in taking without issue. There are a couple cases where you might get a prerequisite override issued by your advisor and then need one or more additional steps taken care of before you'll be able to add the class to your schedule. The first is if a course section is full, especially if it's the only course section being offered for that class in that semester and session. So just because a prerequisite override's been issued for you doesn't mean you get to jump the wait list. You do have to place yourself on the wait list like any other student. And to do that, you typically choose wait list from the drop-down menu and click the submit button. That would put you on the wait list for the course. I can tell you, and there are separate videos about it, but we work very hard to make sure that as many students as possible are accommodated in their preferred course section before the registration deadline each session. So don't worry about being on the wait list for a class. Many times, 100% of the students that are on the wait list get into their preferred course. Also, if you had tried to take this course, you attempted it in the past, and you ended up earning a final grade below a C-, you would need to repeat that course. And that would involve interacting with your advisor. So the first step would be contact your advisor and let us know in which semester and session you would like to repeat the course. We will enter what's called a prerequisite or a repeat request form to the registrar's office, and that will let them know that you've requested to repeat the course. Once they process it and enter the necessary permissions, you'd then be able to add that class to your schedule. And again, if you've a preferred section because of an instructor, let us know that as well. So we're making the request for the most specific class that we can for you. And otherwise, it's also important to note that prerequisites are semester, session, and section specific. So when you get an email to your WP email account and an email from your advisor saying, hey, I've entered this prerequisite override for you, we usually will provide the specific information for the class that that's applicable for. If your plans change, if you stop out for a session, if you end up switching your schedule around and decide to take the course in summer 2 instead of summer 1, you'll get that prerequisite error message again, because again, that override that we issued is just for that one section in summer session 1, and any changes to that would require a different override. So just make sure that you're reviewing the emails specifically that you get from your advisor or the system generated email that you get. Take note of the section, the CRN number, so that you're registering for the right course and you don't encounter that prerequisite error message again. But that's it for this video. I hope this information was helpful. I hope it allows you to plan ahead, plan accordingly, and navigate our systems as you go through. And there are other videos on our YouTube channel. I hope you find them helpful. And otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Have a good day.